Welcome to this Automation World video podcast sponsored by Schneider Electric. Now, this podcast is focused on what you need to know about industrial cybersecurity issues today. I'm David Greenfield, Director of Content at Automation World, and joining me for this discussion is Sadi Kermani, Business Development Manager for Information Management Software as a Service at Schneider Electric. Now, cybersecurity is a rapidly evolving concern for industrial companies of all sizes, as new threats seem to constantly emerge and new technologies and approaches are always being introduced. So, Sadi, to help set the stage for our discussion today, tell us a little about your background, how you got involved with industrial automation technologies, and how that morphed into a concentration on cybersecurity.
I've been with Wonderware for about 13 years. I started off in a tech support position. At first, I didn't think I was ever going to work for an industrial automation company, but there was a chance. I was looking for a job, and so I took it. And I started off in support, and then over the years, I grew into a variety of roles and turned a career into it. And it's been really great. In particular, in recent months, I've been really focused on our cloud and mobile-based software as a service solutions. And with that, in the market, a lot of the concern was around cybersecurity. So I just took it upon myself to find out as much as I could about what would be the right thing to do and the right investments to make around cybersecurity so that both we and our customers would feel safe about going with a cloud-based solution. And that's essentially how I turned my interest into cybersecurity.
With so many potential threats out there, which vary so much not just because of the technological threats, but the variance in industry types, the kinds of systems they use, and the wide-ranging potential for damage and losses. What are the top issues that you think industrial companies should focus on first?
The top three things that come to mind when I think about cybersecurity are the security of the data itself. And the first thing you can do to solve that problem is to encrypt the data when transmitting it from your data sources to the cloud service provider's resources. The second thing that I can think of is to make sure that you are very careful with the privileges that you give to people that have access to the data. You should always be working on a concept of what's called least privilege. Least privilege simply means that everyone has a job to do, and everyone should have the rights and permissions to do that job in their role, but no more, so that they can never be in a position to take advantage of that kind of power and do something that you would not expect them to do. And then the third thing that I would say is cybersecurity, in order for it to work really end to end, you have to have a strong chain of trust, if you will. And if any one part of the solution is weak, then that affects the integrity, or that affects the trust that you can have holistically from end to end. So even if you use technology in all the right places, make sure that you're also leveraging and thinking about cybersecurity from even physically getting in and out of the plant, or physically who has access to devices that can get access to the data, and that you're also training your staff and your personnel to think about managing what they have access to and what they're communicating to people in a secure way, so that holistically everything is secure.
Now, I noticed your answers were very specific, yet broad when it comes to technology recommendations. Now, did you answer so broadly because of the scope of industry issues encompassed by cybersecurity? Or is that just too difficult of a question to address specifically for industry as a whole?
A lot of the times when customers want to know from us, what really do I need to be paying attention to? I typically shy away from those questions when it relates specifically to a technology or a protocol, because those things are changing all the time. I think really what matters is that people have to become now more aware and proactive about cybersecurity than they've ever had to be in the past. So I think really honestly, the thing to avoid is not giving cybersecurity priority or the proper attention. And I think the second thing is thinking that cybersecurity is just this one thing that you have to do on your checklist. It's really got to be more than that. It has to be a mindset and a cultural shift. And I think what customers should expect from their technology partners and their vendors is that cybersecurity has to be embedded not only at the technology level or within each and every product that they use, but as a concept and as a culture, it has to be across technology, people, and the processes that govern all of this stuff, so that holistically, the company and the people and the products have taken the right steps to protect themselves and their information.
So what about standards, Sadi? There's so many standards out there when it comes to industrial cybersecurity. Which one should people be watching most?
In trying to understand how to become effective at managing risk and limiting liability in the context of cybersecurity, don't feel like you're alone. There are a lot of people and organizations that are putting a lot of time and energy into communicating what is the right way and the best practices to follow. And some of the key ones, especially here in the US, is to look, for example, to the Department of Homeland Security. They issue cybersecurity notifications on things that are going on or events that have happened, and they also have a lot of white papers and documentation specifically even targeted for industrial control systems that contain recommendations and best practices. You can also look at ISA. ISA has been around for a long time, and they have an evolving standard which is specifically targeted around cybersecurity, and they also have a lot of resources that you can look into to understand what to do and what steps to take and what measures to implement to, again, manage your risk and limit your liability.
And how about the Internet of Things? Do you see that changing the SCADA cybersecurity issues significantly?
No matter what the technology of interest is of the day or whatever the trends are, cybersecurity is based on a few common principles I think that always need to be adhered to. And one of them is that cybersecurity has to be embedded in every step of the way. So whether it's in the device or it's in the protocol that you use to communicate with those devices, or whether that's in the management of the security of those devices and those networks, or whether it's around the personnel that are managing these things, or the transmission between those things and value-added cloud services, cybersecurity has to be, in its own way, there and present every step of the way. So it's a shared responsibility. I think that's a key concept. The other key concept that I would look to is making sure that whatever protocols or instrumentation or devices that you're using or technologies, really look to make sure that those things are easily understandable, that they're not proprietary, they're not black box, that they're based on open technologies that have been proven and validated and even scrutinized in the market, so that you always have the most benefit from anything having to go wrong. It can be immediately addressed by the millions of other people that are using it with you. And also because it's a standards base, it limits your risk in investing in a certain technology and then having that change quickly the next day.
Now, given our discussion here today, how do you see HMI SCADA technologies changing over the next several years in light of these cybersecurity issues?
In the coming months and the coming years, HMI SCADA systems will continue to evolve to be more interactive with us, the human beings that are interacting with that technology, but also start becoming interactive with other systems, so machine-to-machine interactions, and also be able to offer more value-added services, such as being able to not only understand or reflect what is currently going on, but what is about to happen, and to be able to proactively make recommendations based on its environment, of which it's context aware, to really drive better and more effective decision-making by the actual human beings. And in particular, around cybersecurity, I think the challenge is, especially from a cybersecurity professional standpoint, the challenge has always been how to balance the need for cybersecurity, but also without compromising on the simplicity or ease of use of whatever solution that you're trying to secure. Often those things are at odds with each other. And I think a lot of the efforts these days is how can we make cybersecurity just pervasive and transparently part of the experience without having to present itself as like a roadblock to the use of the thing that we're trying to secure. And I think soon, especially with the introduction or challenging ways of using ourselves, like our fingerprints or facial recognition, or voice recognition, these are all just attempts at saying, how can I take something that is sort of naturally a part of us or our daily lives and just very easily use that to authenticate yourself so that the experience is fluid.
So let's come full circle, Sadi. We started this discussion by talking about how you got into this industry and then got involved with SCADA cybersecurity. Now, considering the experience you've gained, what advice do you have for someone today that you wished you would have known when you started?
I think the most important thing for somebody who's getting into this industry is don't get caught up on a particular technology or a particular programming language, because those things will always be changing. I think what really makes a difference is just stay focused on what the customer challenges are. That should be your guiding light of where to put all your time and energy. Develop a critical mind to really understand what's going on, and develop also a holistic point of view on things so that you're not limited by your particular role or a particular skill set. And you can really sort of appreciate what really needs to get done to achieve your job and also to ultimately help your customers. So stay curious, stay passionate, keep an open mind.
Well, thank you, Sadi, and thank you for joining us. For more information, visit the website shown here.